Welcome to Bloom State Radio. This is a pop-up episode. So my intention was to create one radio episode every month, but something sparked in my creative flair, and I would really love to create a pop-up so that I can speak on this very important topic, which is around mental health. And the reason why I decided to do this pop-up today was because Mental Health Awareness Week is on its way. I saw like a little poster today and I thought, this is beautiful, because not only is it necessary for us to understand what the current workings of our mind is and how we can reprogram and fuse new neuro connections so that we can live a healthier, vibrant life. Now, in no way am I a mental health expert or a neuroscientist with a fucking bachelor's degree. Like, I don't have those paper qualifications to proclaim that I know everything that there is to know about mental health, because I don't believe that anybody really does. The mind, just like everything else in this wonderful creation, is a fucking mystery, whilst simultaneously we have lots of beautiful science and ancient wisdom that can help us bring more health and vitality to our mind. Because whilst the mind, in my opinion, and what I understand through observation of the mind, through practice like meditation and just becoming more self-aware, just anyway, is that it takes lots of different twists and turns, and it is definitely in our best interest to sharpen up how we perceive reality, which is, in my opinion, multidimensional, right? There's so many things simultaneously happening at once that how can we just catch it and grab it and say that this is it? Because I just don't believe that it's that simple. But what I can speak out on is my own experience with mental health, how the health of my mind has been since I started to become more self-aware. And it's been a ride, I'm not going to lie. It's been a very interesting place to be, in the sense of like wanting to live a better life. And I know that whatever we think determines our external and internal reality, because a belief is just a thought that you keep thinking, and then the belief system is something that becomes ingrained in our way of perceiving. And I say ingrained lightly. It doesn't have to be fully deep down buried in the soil for eternity, because as we know, seeds come out of the ground. And again, it's understanding that the way that our mind moves, it moves in fluctuation, and it is always moving, unless we connect to practices which allow us to be in a state of presence. And I think the word presence gets thrown around a lot. It's like, what is presence? Presence is right in this very moment. I'm looking out to sea and I'm recording and I'm speaking. I haven't got thoughts moving around my mind. I'm fully in a present state as I hit record and do this. It's the same when I enter a deeper state of meditation. So I have timed myself and experimented with this over the years. And what I feel that in terms of adequate time, which like allows me to drop into that state of just being exactly as I am with my body, and it gets trippy, definitely. Those meditators out there, it does get trippy, doesn't it? And I say trippy in the sense of it's like you become like weightless. There's a weightlessness, and insight can come, which isn't a thought. An insight and a thought to me feel like two different things based on what it is that I've witnessed in my own meditation practices and just being an observation of the mind. Like, obviously it can't be in complete, we can't be in complete observation of that throughout our entire walking day. I don't believe that that's possible, but I just don't think that it's realistic to believe that, we can like live in a state of presence forever, like, and bask in the beauty and the glory and I don't know. I don't think that is, I don't know, I think I'd maybe find it a little boring. The attainable thing of spiritual enlightenment. It's like, okay, well, just being present is a spiritual practice, and we can dip in and out of these fluctuating states of being, and be more intentional with aligning with those states of being, rather than living in a robotic, programmed, new age cage spirituality movement. Life is beautiful, and when we allow ourselves to connect with practices which allow us to actually come into the body. So when we're up in the mind, we're up in the head. That's kind of the typical place that we refer to mind, isn't it? Up in the head. I don't know if I believe that the mind is in the brain, or whether there's like something else going on there as well as something neurological. Again, there's a mystery that runs through it, isn't there? But when we are up in that space, I'm going to use that as just a figure of speech. When we're up in that space, there's a disconnect from the body, or there's a weaker level of connection to the body, should I say? Because I don't think that we can ever fully disconnect from the body unless we, drink an absolute fuckload of alcohol, or, poison ourselves, basically. Numb out of the body. So there's a numbing that can happen, but a full disconnect, and I don't think so, unless we die. So a weaker connection to what it is that our body is trying to communicate with us, because it's offering us signals all the time. And if we're up in our mind, then I feel like it creates misalignment of heart-mind coherence, which is basically what we need. We need both, don't we? So that we can tap into that intuitive sense which comes through body, and tap up into the mind, into the logistical space, and use this beautiful tool so that we can discern reality clearer, or a reality clearer, and know that it's fun to play around in the mental field as well. But the problem is when the mind is being left to run to its own devices. Like, think of a kid, right? If a kid is born and it's left to go out and it's run around feral and it just fucking finds its own way, doesn't it? And it becomes destructive. Typically a neglected child becomes destructive, right? Statistically anyway. So if we think about the mind as like an active, I don't want to say organism, because I don't think that really rings true, but like an active entity, okay? We let that run rogue, then, it's just going to find its own way, and, maybe eventually we'll get to, the place where we want to go, but, there's a chaotic journey to get there. But if we're a bit more intentional with like, okay, I'm witnessing these thoughts, I'm going to feel into what that thought is triggering into my body. Is it true? But when we are misaligned with the connection with our body, we can pick up on signals that aren't the correct answer, because we put too much thought to it. And I'm like, oh my God, I've overthought this now. I don't fucking know what the answer is. I think we've all experienced that. And I think a lot of anxiety can come from that, when the mind is overplaying something that could just be something so little and so minor. But mental health and 2025 is a big thing, for the reason that technology is, at its peak in human history, and there's more to come. And I'm all for using these devices. Like, I love getting creative with it, but I know when to step away, and I know when, oh, my system feels a bit overwhelmed, my mind, I'm overthinking things a little bit. I'm like, something needs to go. As soon as I delete social media, I instantly feel like my sort of centering comes back to place. And I say centering in the sense of my body starts to feel calmer, but it's not even that it wasn't calm before, but there's levels. And on a level, I do feel better when I disconnect from social media, and this incessant need to respond and, just be so available. I think it's important that we, in this era of incredible technology, really connect to a practice which allows us just to become more present with either the present moment, as in like where you're at, the views you're looking at without the phone. Game changer for the mental health. Being able to put your phone on flight mode when you're around your friends, where you're not taking photos and selfies and bringing a pattern interrupt into the space. Allowing ourselves to use these tools in a way that is healthy and aligned for not just ourselves, but our expansion, but also the deep root of what's beautiful about being a human, and its connection, isn't it? And an isolated person with a mind that's left to go feral is going to typically struggle more so because they don't have that human connection around them. And if they aren't the type of person who just naturally has drive and is a go-getter and has the faith and is like, nah, this fucking shit's not knocking me down. I know that this is just a cycle, which is always just a cycle. The ebb and a flow, and things are always moving for us. And if we can't learn to be flexible in mind, in body, then we're going to struggle, because a rigid mind is a mind that cannot flow in accordance with life's rhythm. And if that sounds really esoteric, Joseph Rodriguez has some incredible content about flow state, and his work has really helped me see some really fucked up patterns that I was in, and bless that, because it was so subconscious. And until I connected with this stronger practice, which is like outside of meditation, it's like an active meditation. It's like not just a meditation that you sit down with and close your eyes and sink inwards. It's like a life meditation. So he has this program called the 7-Day Mental Diet, and I rate it. It was wild. And I say wild because when I committed to the 7-Day Mental Diet and really witnessed what thoughts were not in alignment with the direction upon which I'm going, and the direction of what I know to be true for me and the path that I'm carving, like I know there's a direction that I'm going in, and I know that it's on. And I know that I don't have to fully micromanage and control in order for me to align with that feeling vision. But this mental diet really showed me where those little subconscious blind spots were, that I can't say I was holding myself back with thought, because these just seem to be like generated from a subconscious space. And I remember crying one day when I'd witnessed, it's like I just watched on a screen, this voice, and it was my own voice, just be so fucking cruel to myself. I was like, what the fuck, mate? Are you out of your mind? How dare you kick your ass like that over something so minor? And that awareness is like the alchemy, because I was like, I am never, ever going to speak to myself like that again, because I'm not the thing that cropped into mind. And the 7-Day Mental Diet is amazing because it allowed me to like fully witness that and feel that, like, whoa, man, and have these different approaches to how I navigate when thoughts or come to mind that are trying to pull me away from the direction upon which I know that I I'm going and the vision of what I feel to be true. Whilst I don't know exactly the vision, like the end vision, I don't think there is one, but there's definitely a feeling that is in alignment. And again, he just allowed that his teachings allowed me to tap into that flow state and not take life so seriously, whilst acknowledging that there are elements of seriousness that need to happen. It's like balancing the paradoxical perspectives and moving accordingly. And the less I do, the more I receive. And it's not like I just sit on the sofa and just eat shit and like don't do anything and be like, yo, let me just think about it and it's gonna happen, because that's not manifestation. We have to weave the physical and the material world into this co-creative experience to co-create what it is that we know that we're deserving to receive. But there's work that has to be done there. Like if I was depressed, for example, and I went to the doctors and I took the pill, and the pill this pill's getting me to work, to get cash. That's not what I've done, by the way, and I never would, because that's not what I did to get myself out of the depressive states when I was in them. If I did take that route, then that's not curing my mental health. That's just suppressing it and it's numbing it. And I'm not saying that clinical medication has not helped people, because I have heard stories of it happening. But my bigger question would be to the person who takes that medication is, what is the root of that depression? Because if you take something to go over it just to get back out to work, what's to say that depression was not supposed to keep you out of work so you can just fucking rest from the go grind? And the grind is a real deal. And the grind, it's called the grind for a reason, isn't it? And it can grind your mental health if you don't take the time to actually stop and assess what's happening within your body. We don't have to be on this hamster wheel, and this hamster wheel of instant gratification and this hamster wheel of thinking that we have to reply and be available for people all the time is putting pressure and overwhelm into our nervous systems. And if our nervous system is activated, where do you think that signal goes? It's through to the mind, because the body and the mind are in a coherent state. They're in communication with each other. And when we start to isolate mind and body, there's a problem. So this is what I love about yoga, because yoga is a coherent practice. You're stretching the body, you're breathing, you're stabilizing the mind, you're connecting your nervous system, you're grounding, you're rooting into reality, while simultaneously allowing that great spirit energy to move through you. It's such a beautiful practice. And this practice has been in my life for about 14 years. It found me. And that sounds like so spiritual cliche. It found me, man. But it actually did find me all that time ago. Like, I think I was 21 when it found me. And it wasn't a thing. It wasn't mainstream. There was no Lululemon. There was no, do yoga to look like whatever. There's yoga for everything these days, isn't there? But actually, that's just like a whitewashed marketed version of something that is so far away from that. But that's a different topic. That is episode 4, actually, because I wanted to do an episode off the back of the Muay Thai episode as well. So hey, that ties in beautifully. But having tools which allow us to weave body and mind. Muay Thai is also beautiful because it's an act of meditation. I'm not thinking about anything when I'm in that space and I'm hitting those pads. There's something really beautiful about the dance of yoga and Muay Thai linked together. They work so beautifully well. They're both active meditations, which means that if you are someone who has an active mind, which we all do have active minds, but I think whatever we consume will, create an overactivity. We're in the era of everyone thinking they have ADHD these days, when actually I don't believe there's a deficit happening. I believe there's an overwhelm happening. There's too much data that's coming in, and our environment, the environment of the person who is having the label of ADHD, It's clearly not suitable for them because there's an overwhelm happening in the system and something needs to change in the environment. You don't need to be swallowing more pills so that you can feel more stable and calm and la 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 la. Sort your environment out, take decisions to, I don't know, cut your hours at work. Take bold decisions to do shit like that, because at the end of the day, if you're a slave to the system, you're not going to live, basically, if you're a slave, are you? And if you are a slave, there's going to be elements of freedom within that, I guess. But break free from routine that's been happening for like 20 years. If you've had a job for longer than 10 years, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with this, by the way, I'm just saying through observation, like, if you've been in a job for a long period of time, like how, like, say for example, you are a bank worker. I'm going to definitely use office environments because they are soul sucking. And I've actually, do you know what? I'm actually going to speak about when I met someone who'd been working in the same job, in the same business, in the same job for, are you ready for this? I could not believe it. I was like, what? 32 years. I was in Barclays and I was making my coffee and I was having my yabba yabba. And I was like, so how long have you been here for then? She said, and I was like, are you actually kidding? What? But she was like, yeah, it's fine. And I was like, is there anything that you ever wanted to try? And she'd say, I can't remember what she said, but she did say something. And whenever I meet these like long timers who've been in these positions for like decades, literally, they always say something. And when I pick a little bit further, I said, so like, well, it's not too late. And it's that like response that I get, which is like, you're just too far in now. You may as well just stay where you are, Pop. It's terrible to think that, isn't it? But I was like, there's literally no point in me saying anything else because I can tell you're just in. And it's, do you know what? If people are comfortable there, fair play. But that screams such, I feel like my energy would just be in prison. But I know we're all different and we know we all have our imprints. But I actually don't believe human nature is supposed to, be in human cattle spaces. But, we do what we have to do sometimes. But, like, if that's your preference... Also, I just don't want to sound too judgmental here because I know that people have to work in these spaces because they have to work in these spaces. But, like, you can use those spaces as stepping stones into your evolution. Get the cash behind you and build something while you're in those spaces. You don't have to stay there and stay stuck. You really, really don't. And they are soul sucking. Like, you can see it. And again, this like big mental health awareness cycle that we're in. I don't believe that people truly understand what mental health is, because if they did, then they wouldn't be in the spaces that they were in. And I'm not saying that unconsciously becoming submissive just because is a bad thing. I'm really not, because people do get comfort from that, and that is fair enough. But we're in 2025 now, and we don't have to live and behave like the elders did in their youth, to make those wild decisions, to be like, fuck this, I'm out. And it's scary initially, but then it just becomes something where it's like, no, do you know what, actually, I do have standards and I do have values, and this isn't in alignment and this is out of integrity. And it's not about being the perfect human. It's about just honoring what is good for us. And when we honor what's good for us, soon see that the mental health starts to flourish. I love going to the gym. I love going to the sauna. I love going running. I love doing yoga. I know that's good for me, and I feel so good when I'm in that. So that translates through to my mind as well. So like committing to these 7-day mental diets, taking intentional breaks away from social media, being out in nature, like connecting to things and ways and doings. And, you know, my mind is always being fed because I've got a fascination for life, for the adventurer that's within me for life. And it doesn't have to be mundane and boring and stagnant and stuck and depressive and lonely, because that's just a figment of the imagination. Yes, that might be valid in a reality, but it doesn't have to stay that way. And we're always one decision away from living a better life and having a healthier mind if we want to. And I think that's a big point as well. It's like, you know, how much do you actually really want to shift from that mental state to that mental state? And when I speak in that reference, I'm not speaking about people who are on that, who are in that space of like more serious mental health conditions, like, you know, things like schizophrenia and things like that. Although that there have been proven reports of people who experience schizophrenia, going out into jungle spaces with facilitators and allowing them to connect into the earth, and they're camping, they're sleeping on the ground, and they're having microdoses of psychedelics, and, you know, like, they walk out of there with no schizophrenia and they've got a healthy connection with their minds. And, you know, those types of practices work for people who are struggling with things like heroin addictions. And, you know, there's always an alternative way to approach a unique individual who has their own unique individual way of processing and thinking and connecting and relating and all the things. It's not a one size fits all. And that is a lot of what the clinical environments are about, isn't it? Oh, you know, back in the day, if you heard voices in your head, you'd be fucking lay on a bed and you'd be having a lobotomy, like your brain would be cut open. What the heck? Look how much times have changed, which is amazing to see. Because that's not, if you went to the doctors now and say, yo, doc, like, I'm hearing voices in my head, that wouldn't happen, would it? So the stigma, the taboo, the way of operating and addressing and, you know, things like that are changing clearly. But I do still think that there is a big part that is being integrated that's not just about like ramming pills down throats anymore, you know, which is great to see. And it does work as well, because I'm living, breathing proof that you don't need to swallow pills in order to have a healthy state of mind. And I am 2 minutes away from my 30-minute marker. So what I would say is that I experienced in my life 2 years of sleep deprivation, and my mental state was rough, to say the least. You know, I was fantasizing suicide. Like, I just wanted out. I wanted out, and I've been there. And I made decisions to alter the reality that I was in. And bit by bit, with a 1 degree pivotal turn, I healed, I recovered, you know, and that never happens. Like, those thoughts never, ever come back, and they've never come back. And it's through making those 1 degree decisions, which give me that full pivotal 360 degree turn celebration. And what a celebration it is to live. And I feel like I appreciate life so much more. I was like, what? My gosh, like, decisions away from like feeling this good. And they weren't decisions that were easy. You know, some of them were. Some of them were like, damn, like, easy decision to make. And others are like, yeah, this is a I know that this is a difficult decision, and I know this is going to change the course of my direction for the better, but there's going to be a crunchy part to move through. And it has been crunchy as fuck, but you know what? I'm here, and I'm living, breathing proof it can be done. And we have a wealth of information and free transformational education available at our fingertips. Like, we also have GPT in 2025, and I love it so much. And it's a great tool to be able to get clearer responses back on and more informative information back than just popping a question into Google. Game changer. So yeah, just think about what type of technology we will have at our fingertips that will we can use as humans to become bigger, bolder, braver, stronger, and tap into and step into that deep, true warrior-ess that we absolutely are. We are magnificent as a fucking species, and we better start believing it before shit goes down and our minds are warped and numbed and taken away from us, because that's slowly what I witness is potentially happening also in this timeline. And I say, fuck you, not happening. You're not having my minds. You might be spraying our skies and trying to numb us and dumb us down in many different ways. But I have freedom of mind, and I will continue to cultivate the strength of this to weave the most beautiful, stunning life that I know that I'm worthy and deserving of living. And that's the truth for all of us. So thanks for listening. I went over my marker by 1 minute and 40 seconds. But fuck it, who cares? Life on the edge, honey. Thanks for listening.